Mastering the Japanese time sequence really is like unlocking a brand new dimension of thought. It is the exact grammatical key you need to smoothly sequence two separate actions within a single, natural sentence. We are going to use this explainer to show you exactly how to express that one specific event happens before another. So, let us just dive right into it.
Section 1. The core concept. Understanding action order in Japanese. The phrase "mae" is your foundational building block for chronological sequencing. To really conceptualize this, you have to realize that the word "mae" literally translates to front in English. When you use a verb in its dictionary form and attach "mae" to it, you are conceptually placing that action at the front of a timeline. This spatial relationship perfectly formalizes the idea that you are doing something before another action takes place.
Moving on to Section 2, the grammar formula, building the sentence structure.
There is an absolute strict architectural law to this syntax. Verbs like taberu, which means to eat, and neru, meaning to sleep, have to remain in their plain dictionary form. That is a non-negotiable rule. The dictionary form of the verb must always immediately precede the phrase "mae." You never conjugate this first verb into a polite form or a past tense. It is perpetually taberu mae or neru mae. This anchors the chronological relationship perfectly every single time.
Section 3. Everyday daily routines. Applying the grammar to daily life.
Consider a universal nightly routine. In reality, chronologically, your first action is reading a book. Following that, the second action is going to sleep. Well, Japanese grammar executes a pretty fascinating pivot here. It essentially reverses this chronological reality to build the sentence. It takes the final action, the sleeping, and uses it as a focal point to frame the initial action of reading. It is kind of like a puzzle.
私は寝る前に本を読みます. I read a book before I sleep. You can see the pivot structure fully realized right here. The action that happens last in reality, which is sleeping, is placed right in the middle of the sentence attached directly to mae. This framing then allows the action that happens first, reading the book, to conclude the thought. It literally requires you to mentally fast forward to the final event before you even finish speaking about the first.
Now think about the typical morning rush. The ritual of drinking coffee almost always happens before the act of sitting down to eat breakfast. Knowing that the grammar requires anchoring the second event to structure the sentence, consider how you would construct this specific sequence in your head.
花子は朝ごはんを食べる前にコーヒーを飲みます。Hanako drinks coffee before she eats breakfast. The action that happens second on the timeline, eating breakfast, is locked securely into its dictionary form right beside mae ni. 食べる前に. Then, the action Hanako actually performs first, drinking the coffee, lands right at the end to complete the sequence. The structural logic remains perfectly consistent, even if it feels a bit backward at first.
Section 4. Larger life events. Using the formula for major milestones.
Let us scale this up and imagine a multi-year journey. Someone named Ken spends months or even years relentlessly studying the Japanese language. That is his initial action. His ultimate goal, the major milestone that follows, is physically traveling across the world to arrive in Japan. The immense effort of studying chronologically precedes the monumental event of arriving.
ケンは日本に来る前に日本語を勉強しました. Ken studied Japanese before he came to Japan. Notice the verb for coming to Japan, kuru. It remains entirely frozen in its dictionary form before mae ni. This reveals a truly brilliant time travel aspect of Japanese grammar. That dictionary form acts as a completely time-neutral anchor. It doesn't actually matter that Ken took this trip years ago. The temporal reality, the fact that this whole thing happened in the past, is dictated entirely by the final verb at the absolute end of the sentence, benkyou shimashita.
寝る前に何をしますか? What will you do before you sleep tonight? Formulating your answer to this requires a mental leap. You have to anchor your thought on the final destination, sleeping, before you can articulate the steps that lead up to it. Internalizing this sequence changes the very way you process time and action in Japanese. It moves you away from isolated phrases and unlocks a truly fluent, sequential way of speaking. So, think about your evening routine and try building that sentence in your head right now.